All right, let's talk about interfacing, what it is, and why it matters. So, interfacing is a blanket term for this white stuff. And now there are dark colors of interfacing, but there's lots of different kinds of interfacing. And what interfacing does is it gives structure to the fabric. So you can see this fabric here. It's just nice and floppy and it looks like fabric. So this particular interfacing that I have is called fusible fleece, and we'll talk about what that means in a second, but I've put it onto this panel and you can see it has totally changed these two pieces. They are completely different from each other. So in a nutshell, interfacing adds structure to the fabric, okay? So once we add structure, now we can do different things with it. We can make bags, we can make wallets. It also is used in collars in your shirt. So if you ever notice like a shirt has that nice collar to it, for the most part, I have a dog and a husky, or a husband and a husky. They are playing in the other room. I'm sure you can hear that. So in general, my favorite is this one right here. It is the 101. It's Pelon SF 101. So it's a very like nice and draping style. So it doesn't add too much stiffness, and it still gives some room on that fabric to breathe. However, for the particular product I'm doing here, I want the fusible fleece, so I want it to have kind of a puffy and more fleece style. So what we're going to do is, because it is fusible, so there's different types besides of just the interfacing. So this interfacing in general, oh my gosh, they are so funny. Okay, so besides just the interfacing, there is also these little dots right here, okay? And these little dots, so if you can't tell, you'll just take your hand like this and you feel it, and you can feel these little dots. These are little dried glue dots, okay? So that's the fusible side. They also are kind of stick to each other. If you stick this side, it won't do that. This side, it's like a little bit kind of grippy. Well, now it's not doing it, of course. So that's the side that's going to go on the wrong side of your fabric. So you're going to put your fabric on there like so. And then I always use a pressing cloth. When you buy interfacing, it will give you the directions on how to adhere it. So you'll read the directions and it'll say this is how you're supposed to do it. But the reason why I always use a pressing cloth regardless, which a pressing cloth is just this, mine is just like this awkward piece of fabric. It's just so that if I accidentally get the fabric over a little bit and the glue side is sticking out, it doesn't get the glue on my iron. So that's the only reason why I am like adamant about a pressing cloth, because I don't want to have to clean the glue off my iron. I really love my iron and I have better things to do than clean glue off of an iron. So then what you'll do is use the iron to put this on. So you ask, okay, well, what about fusible? What is there other than fusible? So the other option is sew in. So it's like, well, why would you ever use sew in if you can just stick it to the fabric? So I actually have a project that is pretty horrific if you had to fuse the interfacing to every piece of the project. It's so much easier to just sew it into the project. You can skip this whole ironing step. You just stick the interfacing right in there with it and you sew it into the project, and it gives it the same amount of balance. So I'm not exactly following the instructions here, but you'll see that it kind of is starting to stick. There's a little bit of tackiness. So I need to actually spend a little bit more time, but that's very boring for a video. So now you should have a basic understanding of what interfacing is. And if you're trying to decide which interfacing you need, there's a lot of really great guides on the internet that will help you decide. And then just imagine if you hold the interfacing in your hand and you kind of hold it back and forth. You know, this is an example of one. So, you know, does it move nicely? This is one that I don't really like, and I don't know the name of it, but it feels like paper. It feels very papery. This one feels like it flows and it moves nicely. So when you're comparing interfacing, those are some ways that you can tell if you like it. So I would say before buying it on the internet, if you have an option to go into a store, they will sell interfacing in a bag type style that might be hanging, or they will also sell it off the rolls so you can get it cut off the rolls. So just depending on the type of store that you go to will depend on the type of interfacing. And you know what? If you have any questions, please just put it in the comments and let me know. I would love to do a better explanation that is more specific to what questions you have. Thanks so much.